All right, welcome to section 6 of podcast launch. Your first 30 days starting your podcast, or maybe doing a podcast refresh. This section's all about establishing a plan for your episodes so you don't just walk into recording not knowing what you're talking about. So I've been working on podcasts for quite some time, and I've actually seen many different outlines, from YouTubers to podcasters to short form content. And the one thing common about all their outlines is they're all entirely different. Some of them will script absolutely every word. Some of them will have bullet points. Some of them will just have a topic that they want to cover and then they'll elaborate on for like an hour. However, I will say having bullet points is always the best way to start to see what you need in your outline. So I'm going to show you how I would bullet point an episode that I'm doing for my stateside podcast in theory, and show you how I would do it. Now again, my podcast is a conversational one. So I am mainly developing a show with a co-host, developing my personal brand, my personality, talking about news and headlines and updates and what's going on in the soccer world across the Atlantic Ocean in Europe. So this is how I'm going to outline it. As you can see, it's super simple. The first thing I want to do is create how I'm going to start the episode to kind of loosen all the nerves. Sometimes this is directly to do with what's going on in the industry you're talking about, or in my instance, what's going on, what recently happened in the soccer world that was maybe fun to talk about. Could be a personal question. So right here, I'll maybe ask if my co-host was playing in any soccer leagues and how he's doing in them. I think that's really funny because a lot of the people we're trying to attract are other people that are really busy, dads, maybe people out of shape. And so when they go back and try to play in this sport, it is very difficult because they're super out of shape. So that is a funny subject I think my audience will like to talk about. So we'll talk about that to kind of get some jokes going. Then I'm going to jump into right away, which recently I'll talk about our reactions to a recent game. This past weekend was the Man City and Chelsea game that ended 4-4. We'll talk about our reactions for that. Okay? And I also want to note that how I like to record this is short form content is extremely important. And you can notify what short form content you want to identify in your outline. So I want to make sure I get a really good viral clip of me having an opinion that Man City are not going to win the title. I don't think they're very good. So I don't think they're very good. And me getting that clip off will cause a lot of reactions on social media with people that follow this. So when you're writing these outlines, if there's like a short clip that you want to make sure you want to capture that will do really well to create a lot of comments, conversations, community building, even though they may be controversial, responding, make sure you highlight that you want to touch base with that kind of that headline, all right, or that clip that you really want to capture. All right, so I'll make sure I want to get it there, and you can have as many of these in there as you want. I'd say maybe around 3, because you don't want to force too much of the conversation. Again, it's a conversation. You want to document it. The next segment I want to talk about are transfer news. Okay, what are some leaked news rumors that's going to happen with player transfers? And I want to make sure we get a clip that we need a goalkeeper on Chelsea because our current one sucks. And I'll make sure I highlight maybe some options that we can go out and buy, options to buy. Okay, I think that could be a really good short clip as well. Okay, and again, your podcast host can also go through this and maybe add some of the shirts they want to capture of themselves saying. Okay, so this can kind of be a shared document, but I really think it's important to just make sure you identify a topic, maybe some short segments or clips that you want to capture. And then segment 3 has a question mark on it because I kind of want my conversation to flow, but I don't want to go over an hour. I think most of my listeners are not going to want to listen past an hour, okay, unless it's a deep dive into something. Now, if you're doing more of an interview thing, that might be a little bit different because you can, like Joe Rogan, for example, goes in deep dives into the knowledge of his guests. This one's just me and my co-host every time. So once we cover everything we want to talk about, I think there's always a cap of how much conversation we can have. So if we run out of things to talk about, which I don't think we would, because I think we could fill this out a lot, but let's talk about Everton being docked 10 points, which is another team in the Premier League that just got demoted 10 points because of their actions financially. And that might be an interesting topic to discuss. So to close, I'd probably try to pull people into the next episode. So I'd just say tune in next Monday where we break down the results of the next Chelsea game. okay? So people can kind of know what's going on. I think that close can be a lot better, but at the top of my head, that's probably what I can think of. And that's it. Your outline is there. This helps you. This will help you so much when you go to record. Now, you can add so much more to this. You can add as much as you want. But I will say, when there's too much to read and you're in the middle of a recording, it can be very difficult to multitask and keep your eyes on the camera, looking at this, looking at that, looking at that. So I would try bullet points. Some people can memorize their scripts, even for a podcast episode. It is crazy. However, I'd say try bullet points, keep it minimal, and try something like this. And that's it for the outline plan for your first recording. And I would highly recommend do your first 4 episodes. It's not even a recommendation. I'd say do it. Do your first 4 episodes, okay? Because after you record your first episode, you're going to learn how good was my outline. How much did I really use it? What do I need to add to it? You can go back and go to your 2, 3, and 4s and update them to how you felt about the first recording. You can do that for the second one. You can do that for the third recording. You can do that for the 4th, okay? It will just help you know that you're confidently set up to know what to record. Going in and changing it will only benefit you, okay? But establishing those first 4 is really important because you need that comfort and that structure to know that that is for the future. Once you've done that, you're good to go and you can jump into the next section. See you there.